On a seemingly peaceful morning of Poush 1 2017, Surya Bahadur Thapa was wandering around the royal palace on his bicycle. He was concerned about how the rest of the day would unfold because he knew something that most people didn't. A couple of months back, he was invited into King Mahendra's durbar to discuss the contents of a speech that was going to change the course of Nepal's history forever. King Mahendra had planned to take advantage of a clause in Nepal's constitution to declare a state of emergency, which was followed by a complete overhaul of Nepal's democracy. This is why Poush 1 is called the Black Day of Nepal.
निर्वाचन पछि बनेको यो मन्त्रीमण्डलले शान्ति सुरक्षा कायम गर्ने जस्तो हरेक सभ्य सरकारको प्राथमिक कर्तव्य पनि पूरा गर्न सकेन।
Let's go back to Bikram Sambat 2017. The Rana regime has ended and Nepal is a new democracy. It's been just 18 months since BP Koirala was elected Prime Minister, and even though the Rana rule was brought down almost a decade earlier, this was the first time Nepal's Prime Minister was elected through a democratic process. Our democracy was at its infancy. We were taking baby steps towards figuring out how our country would be governed, and before it was even given a chance to breathe, in just 18 months, King Mahendra gave a speech deeming BP Koirala and his cabinet corrupt, encouraging anti-national elements and promoting party over national interest. Further on in his speech, King Mahendra addressed the people of Nepal, telling them that under the ambiguous Section 55 of the Constitution, he was dismissing the ministry cabinet and both upper and lower houses. He also declared that until another system takes hold, the king will be taking sole leadership of Nepal and its government. BP Koirala and other significant political leaders were imprisoned and all political parties were banned. In Bikram Sambat 2019, a new constitution was promulgated that legitimized the Panchayat system. King Mahendra appointed Tulsi Giri as chairman of the Council of Ministers, but there was no question of who was actually running the state, because the structure of the Panchayat system was such that the king held the most executive power. He was the one who appointed the Prime Minister, Chief of the Army, ministers, Supreme Court judges, and other influential figures of the government. His idea of one king, one dress, one language, and one nation was absolute, leaving no room for opposition or criticism. Now, it's no secret that King Mahendra was a determined king. Skeptical of the multi-party and the democratic system since he was a prince, King Mahendra wanted to take matters into his own hands and build a Nepal according to his own vision. Though ambitious, the partyless Panchayat system was eventually crippled by corruption, exploitation, and the lack of criticism and opposition allowed for no acknowledgements of its shortcomings. BP Koirala had 18 months in which his leadership was deemed unfit. This Panchayat system lasted for more than 29 years. The Panchayat rule finally ended in Bikram Sambat 2046. Nepal now has been a democratic nation for almost 30 years. Since then, Nepal has gone through a 10-year civil war, a royal massacre, a monarchical overthrow, and constant political struggles. Along with all of this, Nepal's political history is marred by instability. The constant shuffling of prime ministers and cabinets has left no room for stable policy changes and consistent development works. Even now, the failure of the current government to handle the spread of COVID-19, the constant news of political disagreements and corruption scandals have made us Nepali very cynical of our hard-earned democracy. However, it's safe to say that Nepal's democracy, which is still young compared to the rest of the world, hasn't fully spread its wings. Muddled in between all the bureaucracy and our past political scars, Nepal's democracy is still chained to paper and is yet to make its way into our practical, real lives. Recently, Nepal and other major cities of Nepal have seen a rise in pro-monarchy sentiments. People have gathered on the streets demanding the return of the king, but when we have one of the youngest democracies in the world, might it not be too early to give up on it? While making this video, we found an audio clip of Surya Bahadur Thapa saying that he was the one who actually wrote the speech that King Mahendra gave on Poush 1 2017.
त्यो यो विघटन गर्ने र टेक ओभर गरेको जुन भाषण छ त्यो भाषण चाहिँ मैले